Namaskar and welcome to all the eminent speakers, participants, and our moderator, Dr. Rupa Vasudevan, the Chancellor of Best Innovation University, to today's webinar, Why the Arts, brought to you by the Center for Soft Power. Last week's webinar on art education, its benefits and impact, saw a lively set of speakers and participants who had many questions. This week, we've gone a level higher. We've already received many questions even before the session. Some that will be naturally answered, some where there is no obvious answer, and some answers where you have to study with a guru for many years. We have chosen this topic today because, especially at a time like this when there is a pandemic and there is a lockdown, the effect of art is intangible. So more often than not, what happens is it gets sidelined and people do not give it enough recognition. Already last week, it has been established, and we've also seen many researchers which say that one of the main impacts of art and exposure to art, even if you don't practice it yourself, an exposure to the arts builds empathy in you. Just imagine how the world would have been today if there had been a lack of empathy. This is enough reason for the arts to be recognized and to be developed and to be nurtured. And while I say this, we also have to think about how arts grew. In a time bygone, king's councils supported the artists and the arts. It was also, you can also see, if you look at history, there have been so many kingdoms where literature grew and the arts grew. But all that has vanished. In today's scenario, the artist not only has to support themselves, their art, and also find time to hone their skills. So this is something that everybody has to think about a support for the arts. And also, unfortunately, what has happened is arts is considered a co-curricular activity. So it doesn't get enough of a recognition. It's always, these questions that we have put. Is art useful? What is it going to do to you? Is it not for a satisfied society? These are all, questions that are thrown at people and especially at artists. I hear very often people ask, so, okay, you dance. So what do you actually do? Oh, you sing. Oh, all right. What is your real occupation? So people have still not understood that that can be the life of people, but it also gives them their bread and butter. So I also see many times when people say that, oh, this artist is charging so much. So, I guess these people do not understand the life of an artist and what they do and how much effort it all takes. Looking at a performance on a stage or a completed work of art, people do not know how many hours, how many years of training, of sadhana it takes before it comes to that level. Having said all this, I would like to end by remembering this wondrous lady who was a queen, a goddess, Sita, whose Jayanti it is today. Literature and poetry also, I feel, is a part of art because the words that they express literally paints a scene for you. And the amount of impact that art has on a community and a society is also something that artists have to understand. So when they do portray these great characters, it would do well if they actually went to the original text. For example, if you read Valmiki's Ramayana, you will realize what a woman of substance Sita was. But if you just read media reports, it seems otherwise. So when portraying a character, it's always better to go to the original text, read it, understand it, and portray it. And so I would like to say that there was one more giant, Saptami that we should remember, and that is just day before yesterday, which is Ganga Saptami. And what the lockdown has done is it has literally allowed nature to clean herself. And maybe when the lockdown is lifted, all of us should think about this, because nature can be very happy without us, humankind, but can we exist without nature? And I guess art plays a big role in this, because all our arts bring us closer to nature. I will now give it over to Dr. Rupa Vasudevan to conduct the webinar. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you very much, Vijay Lakshmi Akka. It's again a great privilege and honor to be moderating the art education session today, part 2. I also welcome all the speakers who are present here today and giving their inputs and views on how we could integrate art in main course curriculum. I can't endorse with you more, Akka, when you say effect of art is intangible, especially during the COVID times. Now, I would see these times as an opportunity. Just before, an hour before we started this session here, I had organized for a session with 8 vice chancellors of different universities from across the globe, and who came to discuss on how technology adoption has impacted education. Now, it starts from there. We have now a situation where art can really become mainstream. We are trying in education to involve the rural most student into online education. The very challenge that we have always seen is lack of infrastructure and trainers in terms of education, whether it comes to music or dance or any art. I have always envisioned that a scenario where we have blended learning tools, but with definite outcomes, definite learning outcomes. That somewhere I feel has been missing. We want to have a huge depository. If not now, it can be never, because now is the time to completely go online. Have a depository of huge digital content that can really substantiate lack of trainers. Lack of trainers in the rural most villages that we're looking at. Our university is at Anantapur, and it took me an year, obviously, to year or more to find one Sanskrit teacher there, because nobody wishes to come from Bangalore to Anantapur. So we need to really look at influencing policies in art and music education from kindergarten to 12th. That becomes a norm. We all know that art and music in mainstream curricula does indeed result in very improved academic performances. We know a student comes out as an all-rounder, but somewhere we need to bridge the gap, and I'm very happy that Center for Soft Power and the director of Center for Soft Power has finally taken this concept on, a very apt theme at a very right time, because this is the time when we are all over the world thinking of how to engage students online, even for mainstream courses. So it'll be very easy to integrate if we have the required curriculum to integrate and to deliver those courses online. So we would start now. A few things that I would like to remind everyone. Kindly keep your microphones off, and just when you hit 9 minutes, I will say 1 minute. So that's when you know that you have another minute left to speak. We will have 10 minutes for each speaker, and then I will move on to the next speaker after a 2-minute